Hello there, I'm Winter. Sorry everyone here, but I must admit that I am using fake names. I happen to be a fairly known painter in the art community, and my husband is a big shot lawyer. So there are ridiculously high chances of me being recognized. To avoid being recognized, I have to use fake names. Sorry about that, but both me and my husband really want to protect our privacy. I hope you guys won't mind. So, I am Winter, and my husband is Damien. We met in college and are your typical college sweethearts. We belong to the opposite spectrums because he was studying law while I was into fine arts. We were both very accomplished in our own subjects and managed to make it fairly big in our own way. But Damien was more well known because his profession made much more money and headlines than me. I am a quiet painter and mostly do commission work now. Damien earns a lot more than me since he has a stable job while I work part-time. It's fun being a painter though, because I don't have to leave home as much and work in an office. This also means that I'm an introvert and tend to keep a low profile. Apparently that's what set off my mother-in-law, Sabrina. When I first met her, I knew I wouldn't like her. I already knew from Damien that she was a money-minded woman. I also knew how she had stolen all of Damien's inheritance from his dad and spent it on herself to buy a luxurious house. However, Damien had forgiven her for it, but for some reason, it bothered me a lot. I couldn't believe that a mother would steal from her own son, so I was always a little skeptical about meeting her. When I finally met her, I found out that she was even more horrible than I thought. When she found out that I'm a painter, she looked at Damien and said, "Why on earth are you with the poor painter? You cannot be with her, Damien. She doesn't match our status." "Mom, don't say that. Winter is actually a very good painter and very accomplished for her age. Plus, I love her." "You can't be serious, Damien. A woman like her cannot be your wife." Sabrina tried hard to tell Damien that he should break up with me. I just sat there looking stunned as hell. I really didn't know what to do or how to react. Sabrina truly was a shallow lady, and that day I saw it with my own eyes. Ever since then, I kept my distance from her. Eventually, Damien and I got married. Sabrina threw a huge tantrum and tried everything to stop the wedding. But no one was on her side. She was exceptionally angry at me because she thought that I was taking her rich son away. These are her own words, guys. She called me a gold digger and said that I was marrying Damien for money. I guess she was scared that Damien would stop sending her money once he got married. Yes, he gave her a monthly allowance after she stopped working. Damien then cut her allowance a little after our marriage because he had just bought a house and he was making the mortgage payments. Sabrina didn't like that one bit. She screamed at me for being behind this and vowed revenge, and she did just that. Ever since Damien had cut off Sabrina's allowance, she did a lot of things to harm my reputation. She actually told all family members that I was a gold digger and was isolating Damien because I wanted all his money for myself. I got a lot of nasty texts from her and some family members as well. Damien shut them down but refused to go low contact with his mother. This was a problem for me because she regularly showed up at the house to harass me. At that time, I was working on a commission piece and attempting to do a very difficult painting. My client had paid me $500,000 and it took me 3 full years to finish it. It was a highly detailed piece, so I was putting in a lot of effort to make it just like he wanted. Sabrina knew that I was busy and showed up regularly to interrupt me and harass me verbally. My husband told her off, but didn't ban her from the house. That's why she had the courage to do what she did. One day, when I was back from a shopping trip, I found Sabrina sitting in my living room and enjoying my wine. I ignored her and went to my room because I didn't want to give her any more attention than necessary. I went straight to my painting, which I had completed already. I had left it out to dry and wanted to check on it. When I went into my workroom, I saw that my painting had been hacked. It literally looked like someone had taken a knife and hacked it. Seeing years' worth of work in absolute ruin broke my heart. I couldn't believe my eyes and I immediately started to cry. I already knew who had done it, but I didn't have the energy to confront her. Instead, I bawled my eyes out as I held my destroyed painting in my hands. Within a few moments, Sabrina entered the room looking super happy. Well, well, what do we have here? Oh, crying over a painting, I see. How sad for you, Winter. Shut up, Sabrina. I know you did it. You did it, didn't you? Why? I spent years creating this piece. Oops, I'm caught. Do you think I care, Winter? No, I don't. You deserve this. Sabrina was laughing at me while I cried. She was facing me while I was facing the door. So when Damien arrived at the door behind her, I saw him, but she didn't. I didn't give away the fact that Damien was home and was listening to what she was saying. Instead, I cried and said, How could you do this, Sabrina? What have I done to deserve this? What have you done? Let me tell you what you've done, Winter. You took my son away, and because of you, he cut down on my allowance. You think I would forgive you for that? Absolutely not. This is what you deserve for stealing my rich lawyer's son from me. You are the most delusional and greedy woman I have ever come across. I didn't take your son from you and make him give you a small allowance. He did it for his own reasons. But you are responsible for destroying my painting. You need to pay me the $500,000 that this painting was worth. Sabrina started to laugh at me and said that there was a fat chance I was getting any money from her. She was still laughing when my husband stepped into the room and asked what was going on. When I told him that Sabrina had destroyed the painting, Sabrina tried to play the victim and said, Your wife is being mean to me, Damien. I thought it was an abandoned painting, so I decided to have some fun with it. Now your wife is saying I did it on purpose. Yes, you did it on purpose, and you need to give me the $500,000 that it costs. How dare you try to scam me, Winter? That worthless thing can't cost that much. Besides, it was a mistake and I said sorry. Damien, look at what your wife is saying. She really expects me to pay her $500,000 for that crap. You don't have to pay her $500,000, Mom. There's no reason to do that anymore. Sabrina looked elated when Damien said this to her. She was jumping with joy because she thought that her son was taking her side. She looked back at me and smirked while I cried my eyes out. I had been working on the painting forever, and Sabrina didn't even need to spend much time destroying it. All she did was hack it with a knife, and that was it. I was broken, seeing my precious painting in ruins. But I was more heartbroken by what my husband said. I had expected Damien to take my side in this one instance, but he wasn't even doing that. I had a really hard time believing that my husband would still choose his mother over me now. But I didn't create a scene. I wanted to see what Damien was thinking. But Sabrina was over the moon. That's my son. God, I was really starting to worry that your wife had turned you into someone else. I knew you would take my side. It was a small mistake, and Winter is throwing a tantrum over nothing. Look at her crying like the world is ending. I wonder why you married her in the first place. I married her because she is an amazing woman, and I love her more than anyone in this world. I know you love her, but you surely don't love her more than me, right? I did love you a lot, Mom, but I don't think I even have any respect for you anymore. You disgust me now. What? What are you saying, Damien? You disgust me, Mom. That's what I'm saying. You think I didn't hear what you told my wife? I know you destroyed her painting on purpose because you think she stole me from you. Sabrina looked shocked when Damien said that. I was also taken aback because I hadn't expected him to do this at all. I knew that my husband wasn't heartless and wouldn't ignore my emotions so easily. He was going to stand up for me once he knew the truth. He had apparently heard me cry and came to check on what was going on. I saw him stand behind the door and didn't say anything because I wanted him to see what his mother was like. When he came in and sided with Sabrina, I was heartbroken. But I still held on to some hope. I was right to hope because my husband was doing something about Sabrina. My mother-in-law, on the other hand, was surprised and started to look really nervous. She said, "What? What are you talking about, Damien? I didn't do it on purpose." "Do you think lying to your lawyer's son will be a good idea?" "I don't think so, Mom. I heard you say those words to my wife. You don't have to act all innocent because I know you are not." "Okay, fine, Damien. I did it on purpose. I'm jealous of Winter because she has been taking up all your time. I don't like sharing you, Damien." "What kind of messed up thought is that, Mom? You were jealous of my wife and ended up destroying something that she has been working hard on? How can you justify that?" "Why are you yelling at me, Damien? I'm sorry, okay? I don't even know why you're making such a fuss over a stupid painting. I can buy the same one for $5. "You would say that because you're stupid and don't know anything about art. It doesn't matter how much the painting costs. What matters is that you have disrespected my wife and destroyed her handiwork. You have to pay for that." "But you just said I don't have to pay for that, Damien." "I said that you don't have to pay $500,000. And I said that because I am suing you for $1 million instead. The look of shock on Sabrina's face said it all. She hadn't expected Damien to say that. Instead of asking her to pay $500,000, my husband was actually informing her, and he was suing her for $1 million. I was happy to see that my husband was finally taking a stand for me. He was going to punish his evil mother for what she did to me and make her pay what I owed. I know why he told Sabrina that he would sue her for $1 million, but I won't tell you guys. You can hear it from him. Sabrina was shaking with fear on hearing about a lawsuit of $1 million and said, "What? You will sue me? That too for $1 million? But why?" "Have you forgotten how you stole my inheritance from Dad and spent it to buy yourself a big house? I want that money back, along with the cost of the artwork that you destroyed." "What are you saying, Damien? That was a long time ago. Surely you wouldn't do that to me. You know I needed a house." "No, you already had a house and didn't need one. You stole from me because you are nothing but a greedy, shallow woman. I will never forgive you for what you did, Mom. I'm done with you. I'm suing you for that money." No, son, don't do this to me. I made a mistake back then. What's done is done. Let's leave that in the past." "I would have left it in the past, but I'm not going to do that. I need that money back now, Mom. If you hadn't messed with my wife because of your own jealousy and greed, I would have forgiven you for your mistake. But now that is not happening." Sabrina could see how angry Damien was. I had actually never seen Damien that angry, to be honest. He was like a raging volcano because of his mother. His past hurt, and feelings of betrayal had come back in my mind. He wasn't going to let things go this time. He was finally doing something for me and himself. Sabrina knew that Damien was serious and she had messed up. She started to cry like a child while my tears were gone. I was smiling because I was proud of my husband. Sabrina cried and said, "Your mother made a mistake. Please, dear, forgive her. I really did something stupid. I deserve your anger, Damien. I accept that wholeheartedly. Please forgive me this time." "I already told you, Mom. I won't be forgiving you anymore. I've had enough of your nonsense. I draw the line when you try to hurt my wife."
"I know I messed up, Damien. I'm really sorry. I swear this won't happen again. Look, I'll even apologize to your wife. Winter, please forgive me. I made a mistake and I am sorry."
Sabrina tried to say sorry to me, hoping that Damien would calm down and make this go away. She was scared and wanted to calm down her son and de-escalate the situation. But for that, she needed my forgiveness. She had no one in her corner and turned to me for help. I don't know why she thought I would help her out. It was hilarious because she still expected me to forgive her and maybe help her get out of this mess. Well, I wasn't doing anything like that. Instead, I looked surprised and angry and said, "There is no use trying to say sorry now, Sabrina. I will never forgive you. I tried my best to have a good relationship with you, but you intentionally hurt me because you were mad Damien had stopped spending so much money on you." "I have realized my mistake, Winter. I swear I'm really sorry for what I've done. It was completely wrong and I take accountability for that." "I know you're not truly sorry. The real reason you're begging for forgiveness is because you want to avoid the lawsuit. You don't want to pay up and lose your lifestyle. You deserve whatever is happening to you, Sabrina."
"Why are you being so difficult, Winter? I already said sorry. Maybe you are the greedy one since you're trying to scam me out of $500,000. There is no way your painting is worth that much."
"In that case, why don't you let Damien sue you? That way, you will find out exactly how much my painting costs once the courts evaluate it. I will support Damien in suing you anyway." Sabrina at that point knew that no one was on her side now. She was desperate for forgiveness and started to beg us both. Gone was her high-class attitude that she loved to throw in my face. Now she was groveling and trying to ask for forgiveness. She was willing to do anything to avoid paying money through the lawsuit. But the lawsuit wasn't her only problem now. What my husband said next absolutely blew her away. He said, "There is no use begging for mercy now, Mom. You made your bed and now you will have to lie in it. I'm done with you."
"How can you do this, Damien? How can you threaten to sue your own mother?"
"I'm not threatening you, Mom. I'm telling you exactly what I will do. You are not a child that I need to threaten you."
"If you do this, you'll lose me, Damien. We won't have a relationship anymore and I'll never forgive you."
"Is that supposed to scare me, Mom? Because then you have clearly underestimated how angry I am. I'm sick of your behavior, Mom. For years you took advantage of me, and now you're bullying my wife. I will never forgive you for this, and I don't want a relationship with you anyway."
"What? You don't want me in your life?"
"That's right, Mom. I don't want you in my life anymore. I know you only love me so much because of my money. Well, guess what, Mom? I won't be helping you out financially anymore. I'm cutting you off in all ways possible." Hearing this, Sabrina broke down in tears and started to cry hysterically. She said a lot of things through her tears. She told us how he was being unfair to her. She also told Damien that he was making a mistake by taking my side and abandoning her over a simple mistake. She even blamed me and said that I had poisoned my husband against her and that I was a gold digger who wanted to keep Damien away from his mother. It was hilarious watching Sabrina have a breakdown and throw a major tantrum. She cried and cried, but no one was listening to her. Damien was as stoic as I was. Instead of supporting his mother or comforting her as she cried, He came to me and wiped my tears with his handkerchief. I was really moved by this gesture and hugged him for taking my side. Sabrina, however, flew into a rage and tried to attack me. That's when Damien got between us and held her back. He was even more pissed now and threatened to call the cops on Sabrina if she didn't leave. He also told her never to show her face in our house again. Sabrina got scared after seeing Damien's wrath and left as soon as she could. After Sabrina was gone, Damien sat me down and actually apologized for not standing up for me sooner. He said, "I'm sorry, Winter. I have to take responsibility for what happened today. I've been a bad husband and didn't take your concerns seriously." "It's okay, Damien. I can understand why you didn't want to lose your mother. I'm glad you stood up for me today." "I can't believe my mom destroyed your painting, Winter. I'm so sorry for this. I know how much effort you gave to this piece. I feel awful." "Don't worry, though. I will make Mom pay." "Are you really sure about the lawsuit, Damien? Will you really go ahead with it?" "I meant every word I said, Winter. I will sue my mom, and I will cut her off in every way possible. I let her disrespect you for a long time, but now she has to pay for what she's done. I will protect you and cut her off because she doesn't deserve to be in our lives and take advantage of us anymore." I wasn't angry at my husband anymore. He came through for me and defended me against his evil mother. He was truly my hero now. I wasn't going to push him to actually go forward with the lawsuit because I knew it was hard to take your own mother to court. So I let my husband decide if he wanted to go through with it. To my surprise, he said that he would be suing Sabrina and cutting her off like he had said. I will be honest here, but that made me really happy. I was finally seeing some hope in getting rid of my evil mother-in-law, and thank God for helping me out. Damien and I talked about a lot of things in our marriage, and he apologized for not standing up for me sooner. Days passed, and Sabrina continued to contact us. She was too scared to show up at our house because Damien had threatened to call the cops on her, but that didn't stop her from harassing us over the phone. She called, texted, and even left voicemails. Sabrina also tried to get family members involved, but no one dared to go against Damien. Some of the elders were pretty mad at her for being so nasty to me and told her off for being such a horrible woman. I was enjoying hearing about these things from a cousin who was always on my side. Sabrina was trying hard to get our forgiveness and even asked me for mercy. She became truly unhinged when she was sent the court papers for the case. She amped up contact and finally showed up at our house, after which the cops came and removed her from our property. Sabrina did a lot of things, but I can't go into details about it. I'm pretty sure I could write a book on how hard she tried to make the lawsuit go away. But nothing worked because my husband was adamant about making her pay. The case went to court and the settlement was made. The final amount that Sabrina had to pay was well over $1 million. Anyway, Sabrina cried in court when the judge made his decision public. She knew that she would have to sell everything she owned just to pay the money from the lawsuit. Now that Damien was not giving her any money, she was back at work and didn't even manage to find a decent one. She doesn't earn much and works as a receptionist somewhere. The house she was so proud of had to be sold to make the debt payments. Damien and I profited a lot from the lawsuit in general. With that money, I tried to pay back my patron because I couldn't deliver the artwork as I had promised. To my great delight, he actually told me to keep the money and work on a separate piece. His wife loved my painting, so he gave me leeway because he really wanted to give her a custom painting from me. That really brought tears to my eyes because I had never thought that anyone would appreciate my art skills so much. I told Damien what happened, and even he said that he was super proud of me. Sabrina was wrong in thinking that I would never match up to her level. Well, I showed her how much I was worth, and she finally got to pay for her bad actions. I'm happy to inform you guys that I am now living a Sabrina-free life, and I am much happier than before. Damien and I are also expecting our first child, so pray for us. Thanks for listening to my story, and I hope you all have a good life. Hello guys, are you familiar with the term grandma shower? I'm sure most of you, like me, would agree that it's not a thing. I didn't even hear about it until my mother-in-law Erica mentioned it to me. I should say that she more or less demanded one from me. Anyway, I will tell you why my mother-in-law was dying for a grandma shower and what we did when she crossed our boundaries and did something stupid to get herself one. For some background, my husband Carlos has a sister, Sage. Sage is older than him and hasn't gotten married. She told everyone in her life very clearly that even if she ever got married, she would definitely not have any children. She wanted a child-free life and wasn't going to change her mind for anyone. This is why my mother-in-law was so obsessed with my pregnancy. I was carrying her first grandchild, and Erica was over the moon with joy. She is a very attention-seeking woman, so her joy created some big problems for us. Erica would constantly call my baby her baby and would act in a very inappropriate way. She demanded that we take her to every scan and let her choose our unborn daughter's name. She even tried to set up a nursery in our home, claiming it's for the times that she would have my baby over for the night. You can imagine how many shouting matches I had with her about all these problems. However, I must say that I am lucky to have a husband with a spine of steel. He was always on my side and had to constantly put Erica on timeouts because of her boundary stomping behavior. Did that make her learn to respect our boundaries? No. She continued her antics in one way or another and always made the excuse that she was just excited to be a grandma. Now, let's come to the incident where this stupid grandma shower was mentioned. Sage and Erica were over at our house to discuss my upcoming baby shower. Sage was the only important one here out of the two. She was actually helping me organize the baby shower. Meanwhile, Erica was just acting inappropriately as usual and telling me what I should and shouldn't do with my baby shower. Apparently, she had better tastes and I needed to listen to her. She said, "God, I can't believe how tacky your tastes are, River. What would you do without me? Peacefully plan my baby shower, perhaps? Thanks for your input, but we will do what I want." You are so stubborn, River. I wonder how Carlos puts up with your behavior. I hope my baby doesn't turn out to be like you. This baby is mine. Don't call her your baby again. But I am also her grandmother. I'm basically like her mother anyway. I don't think so, Erica. She only has one mother, and that is me. The baby shower is also for me, so I will make the final call, okay, for everything. Wouldn't it be nice if we had a grandma shower? Why don't you guys arrange one for me? I looked at my mother-in-law in confusion because I had no idea what she was talking about. I, in my life, have never even heard about a grandma shower, but my mother-in-law was telling us to arrange one for her. I was a little confused and trying to make sense of what she was demanding. Meanwhile, Sage said, "Mom, what is wrong with you? Who the hell does a grandma shower?" I'm pretty sure that's not a thing, Erica. Grandma showers do not exist like that. You two don't know anything. It definitely exists. And even if it doesn't, I would still like to have one. That's not going to happen, Mom. We can't arrange something for you that doesn't even exist. You can't just make things up like that and demand that we do it for you. Why are you being such a disrespectful brat, Sage? You should have no opinion about a grandma shower when you didn't even bother to have kids. I felt bad for Sage because Erica was constantly being snarky to her.
because she was child-free. When it came to my pregnancy, she was being inappropriate to both me and Sage. So I was feeling a little protective of her as well. Some people may say that I'm being hormonal, but I digress. Anyway, I was really mad at Erica for constantly berating Sage for being childless, so I snapped at her and said, "You need to stop being so judgmental of your own daughter, Erica. Give her a break already. You have mentioned this at least 4 times today." "How dare you talk to me like that? Don't forget that the baby you're carrying also belongs to me." "No, the baby I'm carrying only belongs to me and my husband. My baby is not yours just because you are related to her by blood." "Huh. I know why you are so against me having a grandma shower. If I end up having a grandma shower, all the attention will be on me. You will hate that, won't you?" "Yes, I will hate that because everything is not about you. I'm carrying the baby, so I should be getting a baby shower. If you want to have a party and share your happiness, you can do that on your own." "Maybe I will take the incentive and have a grandma shower for myself. You two can hate me all you want. I don't care. I can arrange it myself." Erica huffed and left my house. I was glad she did because I was close to yelling at her for her annoying behavior. It was funny she hinted that I was an attention seeker, when it was actually she who was trying to be the center of attention at a celebration meant for me. It was just bizarre to me. After she left, Sage thanked me for standing up for me, and I did the same. She spoke on behalf of me, and I did that too. And that's how good sister-in-laws behave. We discussed Erica's annoying habit of being the center of attention, and also her extremely inappropriate obsession with my baby. I was a little worried that she would escalate her behavior and do something stupid, but Sage assured me that she would keep an eye on everything and make sure that she could not destroy this beautiful experience for me. Over the next few days, Sage and I met very little. She was busy planning my baby shower while I was getting my nursery ready to welcome the baby. My husband was of no help because he sucked at being artistic or aesthetic, so he was only given an update and told to help us out whenever we needed it. He was happy being a helper because he didn't want to use his brain to arrange girly parties. As for Erica, I didn't hear anything else about the grandma's party, so I thought that she had probably forgotten about it. She didn't stop her horribly obsessive behavior towards my pregnancy, though. She also didn't come by that often because she said that she was working on a surprise. It was another week later that I got to know what surprise my mother-in-law was planning. Sage called me up and told me that she was coming over to my house to talk. She sounded exhausted, and I wondered what was wrong. I waited for her to arrive, and she was at my door in like 15 minutes. The moment I saw her face, I realized something. Her face matched her voice, so she looked exhausted as well. I immediately got her some wine because she looked like she needed some. Then I told her to tell me what was wrong. She sighed and said, "We have run in some big problems with the baby shower, River. I didn't want to tell you about this, but I am at my wit's end." "What happened, Sage? Is all the responsibility overwhelming you? You can always ask me for help, you know. I don't care much about surprises. If you want, I can share some responsibilities with you." "You are so sweet, River. Believe me, I was pressed to handle all the responsibilities of a baby shower. And that's why I took charge in the first place. But back then, I didn't know that I would have to do everything twice and sometimes 3 times again." "Why? What's the matter, Sage? Are the vendors messing up your orders?" "No, the vendors are super nice and have been very accommodating. It's my mother who's the problem." I rolled my eyes at that. Of course, Erica was meddling with the baby shower arrangements and sticking her nose where it didn't belong.
I was kind of expecting that she would be a problem, but I still hadn't realized just how big of a problem she was. I told Sage, "Believe me, Sage, I am not even surprised. I knew she would create problems." Well, you will be surprised to know exactly how she has been creating problems. What is she doing, Sage? She is taking over the baby shower and trying to turn it into a grandma shower. Now, that was something that I wasn't expecting to hear. I thought she was being critical of Sage's choices as usual, but she wasn't doing that. She was actually planning to take over my baby shower to turn it into her grandma shower. It was just plain bizarre, and I was shocked to hear that. My mouth pretty much hung open, and I kept staring at my sister-in-law. She sipped her wine and sighed some more. I said, "Wow, she's still after that ridiculous idea she had?" "Yeah, since we're not throwing her a grandma shower like we're doing one for you, she has taken the initiative to do it herself, just like you said. I told her to have her own party, not take over mine or replace it." God, what exactly is she doing, Sage? "She's just going behind my back and changing everything to her taste. I have to keep talking to the vendors and changing them again and again. I'm tired of this now." "I can understand that, Sage. Did she pay for anything in the baby shower?" "Obviously not, River. I'm the one paying, along with your friend and some of our cousins. Mom hasn't given a cent for this." "That's strange. Why does she think she has the authority to change everything when she's not even paying for it?" "God knows, River. Mom is seriously acting like she is the one carrying the baby and not you. This is so annoying. I don't know what I will do." "Let me talk to your brother and see if we can come up with a plan, Sage. You can take it easy and have some time off from this drama." Sage and I chatted some more and agreed that something needed to be done. I was really mad at my stupid mother-in-law because she was being inconsiderate and trying to take advantage of my baby shower. That day, I decided to have a chat with my husband and tell him that his mom was up to no good again. Sage left right before my husband came home. She wanted to stay and talk to Carlos about what was going on, but her cat had been yelling at her furbo camera, so she had to leave. She wanted to stay and talk to Carlos about what was going on, but I assured her that I would talk to my husband and figure out a solution. When Carlo came home, I sat him down and told him the full story. As much as he didn't want to involve himself in this, Carlos agreed that he needed to talk to his mother and tell her to back off. So we called Erica and put her on loudspeaker so that we could have a conversation together. Erica sounded happy as ever and said, "Why did you call me out of the blue? Did my baby decide to come along a few weeks earlier than planned?" "Stop calling my baby your baby, Erica. I don't want to keep repeating myself." "Who the hell cares? This is also my baby. I can call my granddaughter whatever I want." "Mom, no. We will not have this discussion again. Please learn to respect our boundaries and don't make me put you on a timeout." "Fine. Your baby happy? Now tell me why you called." "We heard that you have been interfering with my baby shower, Erica. You have been changing everything according to your tastes and giving Sage a headache." "I asked for a grandma shower and you didn't do that for me. So I had to take matters into my own hands." "Again, Erica, that's not a thing. Plus, Sage and my friends are paying for my baby shower, so you can't just go behind their backs and change things." "Would it kill you to share your special day with me? You are going to be a mother, and I'm also going to be a grandmother for the first time." "Well, I don't care, Erica. You need to stop being so weird and let Sage plan my baby shower. Don't hijack it, for God's sake." I was starting to get a headache, and I was getting super irritated. It was like She wasn't even willing to let us be in peace. I tried my best to explain to her that she could not just hijack my baby shower, but apparently that didn't get through her thick brain. Or maybe she's just plain stubborn. When she didn't like the way I talked about this, she turned to her son and complained to him, thinking that it would help her case. She said in a whiny voice, "Look at your greedy wife, Carlos. She's being such an attention seeker. You need to tell her to share her baby shower with me." "That's not happening, Mom. This is her day and not yours." But what about me? I'm going to be a grandmother for the first time too. Don't I deserve a celebration? "No, you are not carrying the baby, so this isn't about you. Instead, you should be celebrating my wife and helping Sage arrange this party." "But your wife's tastes are tacky. I don't want a party like that." "If you feel that way, you need to stay away from the party. Let Sage deal with it. Don't make me call you again, Mom." Carlos gave his mother a small lecture and warned her that she should respect our boundaries and not create more trouble. I thought that maybe this time she would listen because her own son was telling her to back off and not do anything stupid. Days passed and, well, nothing changed. Erica was still making some wild changes and even dared to order a grandma shower cake from my baker. She didn't know that the baker was actually a friend of mine. She wasted no time in telling me what my stupid mother-in-law was up to. At this point, I was pretty angry and called up Sage to come and talk. I also got Carlos in the mix because I was contemplating making serious decisions. Together, we sat and tried to come up with a solution. At one point, I said, "I don't even want Erica at my baby shower. I am pretty sure she will pull one stunt or another and ruin the party." "That's what I'm thinking. If she has gone to the point of getting a separate cake, she could do a lot more. We found out about the cake only because you know the baker." God, I really don't want to deal with Erica at my baby shower. I'm already dreading it. "We can uninvite Mom if you want, River. I wouldn't mind at all. She's acting really weird, and I even think that she'll try to do something stupid at the party." "Uninviting her won't be a good solution, Carlos. You know how mad she can get when she doesn't get her way. She might get crazier and still turn up to the party." "What if we shifted the party somewhere else? We can choose a different venue and just not tell her." That seems like a good idea. I could actually ask a friend to rent us her backyard. It opens into the woods, so it would be very pretty." "That seems like a golden idea. I think it will help us avoid a lot of drama. I am completely in favor of doing this." Even Carlos liked my idea and agreed to uninvite Erica from my baby shower. I told you guys, my man has a spine of steel. His mother couldn't scare him or guilt him into anything. He is a pretty solid man and knows how to stand up for his wife, and that's why I married him in the first place. So Carlo and Sage got to work telling our vendors that there had been a change of plans. They also explained the situation to them, and the vendors agreed to help in any way possible. That's the beauty of living in a town where people tend to be a little more accommodating. I also joined in on the arrangements and made sure my guests were updated on where to go. We didn't have much family coming, so there wasn't a big risk Erica would find out about our new plan. On the day of the baby shower, Sage and I got ready together and giggled about how Erica was going to get a shock when she arrived at the old venue. Sage told me that Erica had bought a rather expensive dress and a sash where she had boldly written "Grandma Shower" with her horrible handwriting. She even showed me a picture of it. Things like that were what made me glad that I didn't invite Erica to my actual baby shower. Sage and I, along with Carlo, managed to do everything and organize a great party. We were in the middle of playing games when my mother-in-law called me in confusion. To be honest, I was waiting for her call. I picked up my phone and heard her say in a confused voice, "Hey, River,
I'm at the venue already and have been here for an hour. Where is everyone? No one is at the venue. Even the decorations haven't been put up. Oh, that's because I'm not having a party there, Erica. What do you mean, River? This was your baby shower venue. That's true. It was my baby shower venue before we made some small changes. What changes, River? Did you change the timing of the shower? You could have told me. Oh, we are already having my shower, Erica. We changed the venue and are having the shower without you. There was a stunned silence on the other end. I think Erica was contemplating if I was serious. I mean, how can we even think of having a baby shower without her, right? Erica was sure that no matter what she did, she would be in my baby shower. She thought everything would be excused because she was just so excited to have a grandson. Well, her selfish actions had made us exclude her from the baby shower. Still, Erica said, "You must be joking, River. You won't do that." Well, I already did it, Erica. We are actually playing games after cutting the cake and having some beverages. It's a lot of fun here. Where are you? I'm coming right now. Send me the address. Why didn't you tell me before? Because we didn't want you at my baby shower, Erica. What nonsense, River. I absolutely need to be at your baby shower. I am your child's grandma. That doesn't give you a free pass to do anything, Erica. You tried to take over the party and wouldn't stop even after we repeatedly told you to. We knew you couldn't be trusted after you ordered a freaking grandma cake for yourself. That's why we decided to just uninvite you so that you wouldn't ruin our party. Erica then realized that I was truly excluding her from the party and she had already missed a pretty big part of it. So she started to cry and said, "How could you do this to me, River? This is my first grandchild and you didn't even let me attend the baby shower. I should have been there." I don't see why you think you are entitled to an invite when you didn't even help arrange a baby shower. You should have helped plan this for me, but you tried to plan this for you instead. I was just excited to be a grandma, but you were being mean to me, River. I will talk to my son and get an address. He won't keep his mom away from his daughter's baby shower. Good luck with that, Erica. Let me give you a heads up, though. Carlo is pretty mad at you. Don't tell me I didn't warn you. Now I will go back to my baby shower while you do whatever you want. Bye-bye. I said that and hung up on my mother-in-law. I had no intention of listening to her cry on the phone while I had a live baby shower going on. She tried to call me back, but I didn't pick up. She called both her children and they didn't pick up either. We were having the baby shower in someone's backyard, so it's not like she would magically appear here to look for us. So we were able to have a nice baby shower, and it truly was a day to remember for me. The next day, Erica showed up at our house and cried about how unfair we were to her. She tried to tell Carlos that I was doing everything intentionally and she didn't deserve this. Carlos was quick to remind her that she had been crossing our boundaries and paid no heed to what we wanted. Erica tried to argue with her poor logic again, but Carlos shut her down quickly. Then we both informed her that we would be low contact with her for a while. She wouldn't be allowed at the hospital and can only see our baby once we think it's okay for her to come. You can imagine the tantrum she threw at our new set boundary. We literally had to threaten to go no contact to make her stop. In the end, she sulked and accepted her fate. So my mother-in-law messed around and found out. She tried to hijack my baby shower, but ended up missing it and getting her hospital privileges taken away. My mother-in-law, Jenny, has been horrible to me forever. She was extremely critical of my weight and looks. My husband, Atlas, is a very handsome man, while I'm average at best. I'm also very curvy, while he is fit.
No matter what our differences are, we love each other. And that's what matters. That was what we had thought, but Jenny absolutely refused to accept me as her daughter-in-law. Because in her words, I was ugly and fat. I can't begin to tell you how many times she had made fun of me and told me that Atlas would leave me very soon. Frank, his father, was a decent man and was never nasty to me, so no hate for him, please. Even on that day, I was getting married to her son, and she walked up to me and told me that Atlas wouldn't last in a marriage with me. She said that he would get bored of me and dump me very soon. And that's why she hadn't bothered to try and ruin my wedding. What should have been the happiest day of my life was turned into a sad day because of my cruel mother-in-law. After we got married, Jenny regularly made comments about me and told Atlas that he should be careful before planning a family with me. She always acted like we would divorce in a few months. Around 1.5 years into our marriage, Atlas got fed up with her behavior and went low contact with her. We were all set to continue that low contact before something surprising happened to us. One day we found out that I was pregnant. We also found out that I was carrying a boy. It was an unplanned pregnancy, but we were both happy with the news. We were looking forward to having our baby and were really excited. That's when Atlas and I had to sit down and discuss something serious. I knew that the topic of Jenny had been on my husband's mind for the past few days, so we needed to discuss that immediately. He sat down with me and said, "What should we do about my parents, Faith? We need to tell them." Yes, this is their first grandchild, so they should know. I was hoping you'd be willing to give my mother another chance. I know she's been horrible to you, but maybe she'll finally get her act together for her grandson. I'm not really sure about this, Atlas, but you are right that they need to know about their grandchild. Maybe Jenny would be a good grandma to our son. I guess we shouldn't withhold that experience from him. That's what I was thinking, Faith. Why don't we give her another chance? Let's see if she makes amends on her own. What do you want to do, Atlas? Will you go visit my parents together? We'll break the news there. I was uncomfortable being around Jenny because of her horrible attitude towards me, but I also knew that I had to get used to it. If she ended up being a loving grandma, she would be in my life constantly. I wouldn't deprive my son of her affection, so I may have to put up with her anyway. Thinking of all those things, I decided to give Jenny a chance. I agreed to go with Atlas to his parents' house and break the news to them in person. We told them we were coming over, and Jenny was glad because she hadn't seen Atlas because of our low contact. When we arrived at the house, she happily ran up to us and tried to hug Atlas, but she froze when she saw my slightly protruding belly. She pointed at my belly and said, "What is that? Are you pregnant?" "Yes, Jenny, I'm pregnant." "Is she telling the truth, Atlas? Are you two having a child?" "Yes, Mom, that's why we're here. We wanted to tell you and Dad in person that we are expecting a boy." Atlas and I happily announced our big news to Jenny and Frank. Frank was overjoyed and kept hugging and congratulating us. He had the reaction that we had expected, but Jenny remained frozen on her spot. Very slowly she backed away from us with a shocked look on her face. I was immediately thrown off by her behavior, and after a while she started to shake her head in disbelief and said, No, this can't be happening. Tell me this is a joke." "What do you mean, Mom? Why will this be a joke? We are really expecting a child. Aren't you happy for us?" "No, I am not happy for you. I'm extremely mad right now." "Why, Mom? What's the matter?" "That woman cannot have my grandson. No, this can't happen to me." "What's the matter, Mom? Why are you reacting this way?" "What are you thinking, getting her pregnant, Atlas? She is completely unfit to have my grandson. She has the worst genes, and my grandson will turn out to be ugly and dumb." Everyone was taken aback by what my mother-in-law said. Even Frank was in shock because he hadn't expected Jenny to react so badly to this good news. Atlas was gobsmacked and stared at his mother in disbelief. I was high on hormones and immediately started to cry because I felt utterly humiliated. I quietly sobbed in my place and had a hard time forming words. Frank was the first one to break the silence. He said, "What are you talking about, Jenny? Have you gone mad?" "No, I haven't gone mad, but our son sure is. Look at what he did, Frank. This is horrible. Oh, my God." "Oh, really, Mom? Tell me what's so horrible about what I did." "First, you married that ugly, fat woman and didn't even listen to me when I said she doesn't belong to our family. Then you went ahead and got her pregnant. How could you be so careless, Atlas? Now my grandson will look like his ugly mother, and I'll have to accept that." I couldn't believe that she would call her own grandson ugly if he turned out to look like me. I know I'm not the best-looking girl on the planet, and I can take her insults to an extent, but she was straight up calling my future child ugly, and that was crossing my limits. In my pregnancy-induced rage, I yelled at Jenny through my tears and said, "How can you call your own grandson ugly, Jenny? I can understand that you don't like me, but how can you judge your unborn grandson? If he turns out like you, I swear I'll have a heart attack. I thought that once Atlas married you, he would finally realize what a big mistake he'd made. Then he would divorce you and find a better girl. But I see that you have baby-trapped my son and absolutely destroyed his life." "I baby-trapped your son, Jenny? Is that what you're saying? How can I baby-trap your son when we are already married?" "You knew he would leave you sooner or later. Who would want to stay with you, let alone have a baby with you?" Yeah, Jenny was being extra brutal to me that day. She was legit crying and lamenting how her grandchildren would now be ugly like me. I was already feeling a little more ugly because of the pregnancy weight gain, and coupled with Jenny's horrible comment, I wanted to just go and bury myself in a hole. I too started to cry loudly because Jenny had successfully ruined the happiness I had from being pregnant. Atlas rushed to my side to comfort me while I bawled. Jenny sat there looking pissed but also with tears in her eyes. Frank didn't know what to do and sat there in disbelief. After a while, Atlas looked at his mother with the most disgusted and angry expression I have ever seen on his face. He held me close to him and said to his mother, "You have crossed all limits today, Mom. How could you make my pregnant wife cry? You need to apologize to her right now." "I'm not apologizing to that woman. You need to wake up and open your eyes, Atlas. This woman isn't worth your time." "She is my wife, Mom. I love her and she's more than enough for me. I'm going to start a family with her and nothing makes me happier than this." "You should have listened to me and taken precautions so that she doesn't get pregnant. God knows whose baby she's carrying. Maybe she slept with someone else and is trying to pass off the child as yours. But then again, who would want her?" "Shut the hell up, Mom. How dare you speak about Faith like that? Who gave you the right to insult her? I'm telling you one last time, Mom. Apologize to my fiancé right now." "No, I won't apologize to her. I meant every word that I said, and I don't want her to have my grandson. It's the truth." Atlas now looked even madder than usual. Jenny was adamant that she didn't do or say anything wrong. She huffed and sat there with her arms crossed. She even refused to look at me, probably because she couldn't handle the sight of me with a pregnant belly. Atlas noticed it all and then said in an eerily calm voice, "So, you don't want my wife to carry your grandson, right?" "Yes, I don't want that woman to give me a grandson." "Well then, you will no longer have a grandson or a son anymore." "What? What do you mean, Atlas?" "I mean that me and my family will be going no contact with you, Mom. You don't want an ugly daughter-in-law and grandson, as you put it. Very well.
You won't have to associate with us anymore."
Jenny was taken aback when Atlas said that. He was telling her straight up that she wouldn't be in our lives anymore. Jenny was in shock, and so was I. I had expected and hoped that Atlas would stand up for me, but I hadn't realized that he would talk about cutting Jenny off entirely. No one had expected that at all. Jenny looked at Atlas in disbelief and said, You would cut me off for that worthless woman?"
"She is not worthless, Mom. Faith is my everything, and so is my child. I have no problem cutting you off to protect my wife and child from you."
"How can you even think about that, Atlas? I'm your mother. I carried you for 9 months and brought you into this world."
"I'm grateful for that, Mom. Believe me, I truly am. And that's why I hadn't cut you off sooner. But I draw the line when you act so viciously towards my wife and child."
"You're not thinking straight, Atlas. You cannot cut me off for Faith. You cannot keep me away from my grandchild."
"Well, watch me do that, Mom. You already said what you said. Now it's time for you to face some consequences."
Jenny kept asking Atlas if he was serious. She tried to say how he was being super unfair and that she was only looking out for him and his unborn child. After a lot of back and forth, it became clear that Atlas was seriously going to cut her off. That's when she turned pale. When the thought finally sunk in, Jenny started to cry loudly and said, "I can't believe this. My own son is threatening to cut me off for another woman."
"You seem to be forgetting that my wife is not just another woman. You will treat her with respect. Although I don't expect that from you anymore, I'm not making threats, Mom. I've decided I want nothing to do with you."
"You are really overreacting, Atlas. You can't do this to me. I want to be in my grandson's life."
"Well, I don't want to keep you in his life. My son doesn't need a judgmental, cruel grandmother like you. He is better off having only one grandmother, and that is Faith's mother."
No, Atlas, please don't say that. Okay, I'll try not to make these comments about your wife again. Are you happy now?"
"No, I'm not happy. This is not enough, Mom. When I gave you the chance to apologize to my wife, you didn't do that. You don't get to claim that you will behave now."
"I'm already telling you that I will try to act civil. If you really love that wife of yours so much, I'll deal with it. I've been dealing with her anyway, haven't I?"
"I don't believe a word out of your mouth anymore, Mom. You have been nasty to my wife, and you insult her every chance you get. That's why I went low contact with you in the first place. I came back here with Faith because I thought you would be happy to hear about our pregnancy. Now that I know about your feelings, I don't want me or my wife and child around you."
At this point, Jenny suddenly remembered the fact that we did go low contact with her after she repeatedly kept humiliating me. She finally realized that there was a big possibility that Atlas would cut her off for good. He had stuck to his word before and can readily do it again. Once that realization clouded her brain, she was able to see things clearly as they were. She was about to lose her son and grandson for good. And that's when she changed tunes and tried to appease Atlas by saying, "I understand that I've upset your wife, Atlas. I was high on emotions and said some bad things. I may have hurt her feelings. I was just looking out for you."
"No, you weren't looking out for me. You were trying to separate me from my wife because she doesn't match your beauty standards. For the last 2 years, you have been horrible to her, and I'm finally putting my foot down."
No, Atlas, don't say that. Okay, I realize that I made a huge mistake. Please don't punish me like this. I swear I will change and learn to accept Faith.
"I think it's too late for that now, Mom. I want nothing to do with you anymore. I'm pretty sure my wife feels the same way and will agree with your decision."
"I swear I will correct my behavior, Atlas. Just give me a chance. Faith, please give me a chance. I really want to be in my grandson's life." Jenny was desperate for help and turned to me. She thought that, like always, I would readily forgive her and ask my husband to give her another chance. She was looking at me expectantly and was almost sure that I would be on her side. But I'd already been pushed to my limits. There was no way I was going to forgive this woman. I held my head high and said, "I don't care what you want, Jenny. I will never forgive you or give you another chance. I have given you plenty of chances, but you have shown me what a vile person you are."
"How can you be so cruel to me, Faith? I'm your mother-in-law and your Bray's grandma."
"What mother-in-law, Jenny? You never accepted me as your daughter-in-law. And you have clearly said that you didn't want me to carry your grandson, so the baby in my belly is no one to you."
"I said some things out of anger, Faith. I was not thinking straight. I can see how wrong I was. Please forgive me and convince my son not to cut me off."
"I'm not going to do what you want, Jenny. In fact, I will do the opposite. I will support Atlas in cutting you off. Frank is welcome, but you are not."
But your son needs his grandma in his life."
"No, Jenny, he doesn't. Atlas is right, Jenny. My son doesn't need a judgmental and prejudiced grandma like you. I don't want you around my child, and you better stay away from me because I don't even want to see your face anymore." At this point, Jenny started to cry and went to my husband for help. She decided that it was time to play the victim card. Let me tell you guys right now, it didn't work on Atlas at all. It had the opposite effect entirely. When Jenny said this, Atlas got super mad.
"Did you see that, Atlas? I tried to make things right with your wife, but she wouldn't listen to me. I begged her so hard."
"My wife is right in rejecting your apologies, Mom. You don't deserve her forgiveness after what you have put her through."
"Then what do I do, Atlas? Tell me how I'll make it right."
"You cannot make things right, Mom. You have gone too far for us to even consider forgiving you. From now on, you will no longer have the privilege of having a relationship with me and my family. We're done here." Jenny was having none of it and constantly begged us for forgiveness. Atlas and I kept telling her that she had crossed all limits and now she has to pay for her actions. When Jenny grew tired of begging us for forgiveness, she turned to the one person who could potentially be on her side. She asked my father-in-law for help. She said,
"Are you going to sit there and watch my son abandon me, Frank? Say something. Don't you want your son in your life?"
"Yes, I do want my son in my life."
"Then what are you waiting for, Frank? Help me convince Atlas that he's making a mistake."
"I don't think he's making a mistake, Jenny. He's right to cut you off because you have been a horrible person to his wife."
"What? Will you also take their side?"
"Yes, they're doing nothing wrong. They graciously gave you another chance after finding out about the pregnancy, but you blew that royally. Now you don't get to come and demand that they forgive you." Jenny was surprised to know that even my father-in-law was supporting us instead of her. Frank had always been nice to me, but he had a hard time dealing with his crazy wife. But this time he actually sided with us and spoke in my favor. I was so grateful for his support that I had tears in my eyes again. I said, "Thank you so much, Frank. It truly means a lot to me to have your support." "I'm here for you, Faith. You've been a lovely daughter-in-law, and I know you make my son happy. You don't deserve the treatment Jenny's given you." "Thanks for understanding, Frank. This is why you are not getting cut off, but Jenny is."
"No, you won't keep me away from my son and grandbaby. I won't allow it. Atlas, please don't do this."
Jenny now realized that she was truly backed into a corner. She was crying and alternating between getting mad at us and begging us for mercy. It was bizarre seeing her so unhinged. I felt unsafe around her and left with my husband soon after. When we were leaving, Jenny tried to follow us and lunged at me from behind, but Frank caught her first, and the two started to argue. Atlas took me home to make sure I was safe. He later called his father and found out that they had a big fight. Atlas and I went no contact with Jenny as we had decided. I went home and asked Atlas if he was sure about this, and he actually said to me, "I'm sorry, Faith. I should not have taken you back to my parents' house. You had to listen to all of Mom's bull crap because of me." It's okay, Atlas. It was a joint decision, so I don't blame you. I was also hoping Jenny would be a decent grandma, so I wanted her in my son's life.
Forget my mother, Faith. She doesn't deserve us. I've allowed her to badmouth you and insult you a lot. I promise I won't let that happen again. I will do my duty and protect you and our child.
I forgave my husband because he didn't do anything wrong. I was glad he stood up for me and told him so. I was proud of my husband when I gushed about how he put his mother in her place. Atlas and I actually laughed about it when we were home. Pregnancy hormones are crazy, man. So Atlas and I went no contact and also informed everyone in the family what Jenny had done. Frank also verified our account so that Jenny doesn't spin tales to make us look bad. Most family members sided with us and told us that we did the right thing. There were a few who wanted us to forgive Jenny, but we ignored that. The pregnancy was a roller coaster ride with Jenny showing up and trying to force her way back into our lives. She didn't get much of an opportunity because we shut her out and even called the cops once. She had been removed from my baby shower and even thrown out of the hospital when I gave birth. Atlas and I welcomed our baby boy 5 months ago. I'm recovering well and was able to safely deliver my child. We are over the moon as new parents and adjusting to our new life. But Jenny had been creating trouble for us as well. The good news is that we are filing a restraining order against her. She made some graphic threats against me, and I took all those texts to the cops. They took me seriously and told me that they would conduct a welfare check on her. Frank has also seen Jenny's unhinged version and has decided to divorce her for taking things too far. He was already pretty unhappy in the marriage, and this was the final push. Last I heard, Jenny was going to move to her sister's house in the next state. Since Frank was divorcing her, they had to leave their previous home and find separate accommodation. She never worked before, so she didn't have much money saved, so she had to move in with her sister, who offered to host her for free. I'm actually happy with this outcome for several reasons. Now we can have Frank over for free and have him babysit sometimes. We also didn't have to worry about Jenny harming me because she is far away now. So in the end, my mother-in-law ended up losing her son, grandson, husband, and even the roof over her head. Serves her right. Don't you agree, guys? Hello, guys. My story is about my mother-in-law, Daisy. I'm Lexi, and my husband, Zach, are writing this story together. We found several stories like these and thought you guys would like this one as well. I won't say that my mother-in-law is super bad or something, but she sure isn't a nice woman. She was usually snarky and looked down on people who lived simple lifestyles. Don't think that she's a rich lady. Nope. She has a humble life but is generally very snobby. She sure didn't like me when Zach introduced me. Like my father, I too preferred living a humble life, so instantly she had thought that I was poor or something. But she changed her stance once she realized that I earned pretty well. Anyway, now onto the story. Daisy liked to go on vacations and take trips. When Zach and I were planning to go on a hike and stay at my dad's cabin, she excitedly said, "Wow, you guys are going on a hike and you are staying in the woods for free?" "Yeah, my father had a cabin in the woods, so we will stay there. He will be joining us for the trip too." "He actually lives there, so he will be a great guide. We're hoping to explore some less popular hiking trails too, since he will come along. He's being very generous by allowing us to stay with him for free." "Can I come along too? I would love to go hiking, but accommodation is very expensive there." "Sure, you can come along, but I must warn you, my dad's cabin is small, so don't expect a big hotel." "Oh, that's fine. I'm sure we'll manage. All I want is to go on a trip. Please take me with you. We will have so much fun together." Since Daisy was so excited, we decided to take her along with us. She told us that she didn't mind staying in a small cabin because it was free. I thought it would be nice to come together as a family since Daisy didn't know my dad that well. So I agreed to her request and informed my father that she would be coming along. My father didn't have a problem and said that he would be happy to host her as well. That was a mistake, because I didn't know how bad Daisy could be. When we reached my dad's cabin, Daisy looked very disappointed. For some background, my father is a pretty well-off man. He owns his own company along with his best friend from school. He is pretty successful as a businessman and has a lot of assets in his name. However, he kept his daily life simple and instead chose to spend his money on buying assets and taking his family on an all-paid family vacation. He used to live in a big house but shifted to a cabin later in life. After my mom died, my father moved into the small house that they had built together and he lived in the woods. He was really heartbroken after my mom's passing and said that he wanted to keep a low profile from then on. They had lovingly built that cabin in the woods and had a ton of memories there. So he decided that he would stay there for his last days. I had no complaints because I wanted my father to be happy in whatever way he could. And he was happy in that small cabin. All of Dad's mansions were either put on rent or left empty. There were housekeepers who kept everything pristine. He did stay at these houses at times when he needed to be in the city for work, but he mostly stayed at the cabin and worked from there. His business partner and best friend managed most of the in-person meetings while he joined online. The two of them had a great bond even after 40 years, so Dad didn't have to worry about the business falling apart. There was also me, who ran his errands whenever he couldn't, so he had nothing to worry about. Now, all this was not known to my mother-in-law. Daisy thought that my father was poor and only had a small light cabin in his name. When she accompanied us to visit him, she had expected a huge mansion in the hills like they show in the movies. While stuff like that does exist, they cannot be made by two inexperienced people. The cabin that my parents built was dainty but not very fancy. What can you expect from two inexperienced people who are only doing this as an experimental project? Whatever it was, I loved it, and so did my dad. Even my husband Zach was in love with the place. But Daisy took one look at it and said, "Oh God, what is this place? It's so tiny and shabby. Why have you brought me here?" "Welcome to my humble abode, Daisy. It's going to be your place to stay for 2 days. "This is your house? You actually live here? It's just so ugly and small. Who even built this thing?" "Actually, my wife and I built this together." "Why would you do that? Didn't you have money to hire people?" "Well, we wanted to make a house all by ourselves, so we—" "My God, why would you do that? Only beggars and homeless people would have to build their own houses. Decent people like us shouldn't be doing this." Everyone in the room was horrified to hear what Daisy said. She had no regard for anyone and continued to joke and laugh while literally hinting that my father was a beggar. I was highly offended, and so was my dad. I was mad because she had insulted my father, and my father was mad because she had insulted his greatest possession. He loved that cabin and was very protective of it. If it was someone else, he would have immediately thrown them out. Dad had done that before, but he didn't do that to Daisy because she was my mother-in-law. Zach understood it all and looked super embarrassed. He shut his mother up and said, "What is wrong with you, Mom? You are being very disrespectful to Sean." "What? I'm only stating my observation. I said the truth, though. Normal people don't make their own houses from scratch. I didn't know that your father was this poor, Lexi." "You have no right to disrespect and make fun of my dad in his own home, Daisy.
You need to apologize to him right now. If he doesn't want to be disrespected, he needs to do better and get a decent place. Anyone living in a DIY house should be made fun of. Mom, why would you say that? This is horrible. Sean, I'm so sorry. My mom is being super nasty to you. It's okay, Daisy. I guess she's entitled to her opinion. Let's put this aside and have dinner. My father sportingly ignored Daisy's jabs and diffused the situation. Daisy had no shame and continued to make fun of the house. My father looked weary but didn't say anything bad to my mother-in-law. Zach was giving me and my father apologetic glances while trying to shut up his mother. But Daisy, as usual, wasn't paying any heed to his words. Dinner went by rather awkwardly, and Daisy went to sleep without even bothering to help clean up. Zach tried to tell her that she should be helping, but she said that she was tired. She was given the best room between the two, while Zach and I slept on the couch. Still, Daisy complained about her room as well. Apparently it was too small and wasn't to her liking. I was really tempted to throw her out and tell her to get her own place, but I didn't do that. Once Daisy was off to sleep, Zach frantically apologized to my father and almost begged for forgiveness. He was really embarrassed by his mother and said, "I'm so sorry, Sean. If I had known she would be this rude, I wouldn't have brought her here. I don't know what has gotten into her." "Oh my God, Zach, you don't have to be so apologetic. Your mom's behavior is not your fault, you know. Believe me, I am not holding it against you." "Thanks for understanding, Sean. I'm really ashamed of what my mother did." "It's okay, Zach. You're in the clear. You don't have to say sorry." My dad may be a level-headed person, but I sure wasn't. The way Daisy had insulted my father and even my dead mother was horrible. It made me see red. I wasn't going to forgive her so easily. I was fuming at Daisy's behavior and wasn't going to let it go easily. I was angry and I wanted Zach to know that. And I said, "Your mother has really pissed us off today. I won't forget this. She insulted my mom's memory with this house." "I know, Lexi. I wish I could control what she said. I begged her to stop, but she wouldn't." "I'm not blaming you, Zach, but I think your mom needs to understand that her words will have consequences." "I think I agree with that, Lexi. I won't be rude to your mother for this, Zach. This day will happen as we had planned, but she is not welcome back to the cabin. I want to keep a distance from her." "I understand that completely, Sean. I promise she won't be back here. I can promise you that." "Good. Let's not allow this to affect our outing. We will try to make the best of this family trip." The rest of the stay was rather uneventful. Daisy continued her behavior, but we didn't get angry anymore. We were just bored of her banter because she said the same stuff again and again. I was thanking God when the trip ended because I just couldn't take Daisy's crap anymore. I also wanted to give my poor father some peace and left as soon as we could. Daisy never took responsibility for her disrespect, didn't help with chores, and didn't even thank my father for hosting her. That day, I realized what a horrible woman she was, and I have regretted taking her along. I'm pretty sure Zach thought that too. Days passed, and I just couldn't get that incident out of my head. I had talked to Zach and told him that I wanted to go low contact with his mother for a while. Zach agreed to it and said that he wanted to go low contact as well. Daisy didn't like that one bit and called us dramatic. We didn't care and stuck to our guns. Eventually a year passed and it was time for Daisy's words to come back and bite her in the butt. My father had been planning one of his luxury vacations where he took everyone he was close to and paid their share as well. It was always a free trip with us spending money only for personal expenses. Dad was planning to take us on a Caribbean cruise. It was an elaborate plan for 2 weeks and everyone was excited about it. I got my chance to teach Daisy a lesson when my father called me to tell me about this trip. After discussing the details and all, he threw me a question that I was expecting him to ask. "So, what do we do about your mother-in-law?" "What about her, Dad?" "Should I invite her on this trip?"
Only you would take a person on a free trip even after they called you a beggar.
Well, what can I say? This beggar is feeling a little generous. Besides, she is your mother-in-law, so I don't want to create problems for you.
Believe me, Dad, there won't be any problems between us. We don't have a great relationship anyway.
Then, what should I do, Lexi?
Tell me something, Dad. Forget about everything and just tell me if you have truly forgiven her.
Absolutely not, Lexi. I don't forget or forgive people who insult me and my late wife. That's exactly where I draw the line. I don't want to take her on this trip at all.
But you want to do it for me. You want to keep the peace between me and Daisy.
Yes, Lexi. I will feel guilty if this affects you in a bad way.
That's my father for you guys. He was more worried about keeping the peace between me and Daisy than his own vanity. So he was willing to take Daisy on a free trip with us. My dad really does love me a lot. It is true that Daisy would throw a tantrum if she wasn't invited, but I didn't care. I wasn't going to let Daisy take advantage of my father's generosity. So I said, "There's no need to invite Daisy, Dad. We're not taking her on this trip."
Are you sure, Lexi? Take some time to think about it.
I don't need time, Dad. I won't let anyone take advantage of you after disrespecting you. I will not choose to keep peace with Daisy over you, Dad.
But what about Zach? Won't he be upset?
I don't think so, Dad. I think he would agree with me. He is a reasonable man and not like his idiot mother.
Okay then, if that's what you say, I won't invite Daisy. I must say that I am quite relieved. Daisy would have made me very uncomfortable on the trip.
That's exactly why I don't want her to come along. Let her learn a lesson for being such an obnoxious woman. If she throws a tantrum, I will deal with her. Dad was satisfied with my answers and confirmed that he wouldn't be inviting my mother-in-law to the trip. I was giddy with joy because I finally got a chance to show Daisy what are the consequences of insulting my family. My dad made all the final bookings after sending my other in-laws their invites. Naturally, everyone he invited wanted to go, so he made the booking and paid for everyone except my mother-in-law. That same day, I also told my husband about my decision. I sat Zach down and explained my reasons to him. There was a little fear in the back of my mind that he may not agree to exclude his mother, but Zach didn't oppose my plan at all. He supported me 100% because he understood that his mother deserved this. He said,
"I can't understand why you didn't want my mother to come along, Lexi. I'm not mad at you."
"I'm glad you understood me, Zach. I was a little worried you would be offended."
"Why would I be offended, Lexi? I know my mom deserves this. I would have been more surprised if you had allowed her to come along."
"I seriously don't want her to have a luxury vacation on my dad's dime, Zach." Zach agreed with me because he is a righteous man. Daisy had been freaking rude and insulting to my father, who was generously hosting us for the hiking trip. Then she didn't even apologize when we confronted her. She lacked the basic decency to apologize to a person when she was wrong. I still don't know if she's stubborn or just ignorant. What I did know was that she needed to be taught a lesson. So I asked my father to not invite her, but to invite other members of Zach's family. A few more weeks passed, and we had started to pack up for our grand trip. Zach's first cousins and their spouses were also invited on the trip because we had a close relationship. That's how word spread to my mother-in-law. In the beginning, when we told her that we would be going for a vacation, she said, "You say that your father will come along too? Wow, how is he going to afford that?" "He has the money, Daisy." "I don't see how a poor man like your father can afford such a big trip." "Well, you don't know everything now, do you, Daisy?" Daisy went quiet when I snapped at her. She still thought that my father was a poor man. So she was curious to know how he could afford the trip. We told her that we were going on a trip, but didn't know that my father was paying for everything. She got to know about it from my own family and realized that almost everyone was going. When she realized that she didn't get an invite, she came back to our house and said,
Hey, why didn't you tell me that Sean is funding your trip?
Because it's none of your business, Daisy. Why do you care who pays for this trip?
I had no idea that your father could afford such a trip. How is this possible?
Well, my father is actually pretty well off and runs his own company with his partner, so he can afford this.
Wow, I had no idea about this.
Yeah, you had been wondering how a beggar like him could afford a trip like this.
Oh, I was just joking. I had no idea he did so well for himself.
Daisy was now changing tactics and laughing off her previous comments. Zach and I knew why she was doing this. She wanted to get invited on the trip, so she was trying to play nice. I said, "Well, now you know that he is pretty rich. I see that you are in disbelief."
Yeah, I can't believe he's funding a whole luxury trip for you guys. He even invited most of my family.
Yes, my dad can be very generous when it comes to family.
That's so nice of him, Lexi. You are so lucky to have him as your father.
Yes, I am lucky, Daisy. I am well aware of it.
So when will I get an invite?
I started to laugh when she mentioned getting an invite. I was right in assuming that she came crawling back to our home because she wanted an invite. Too bad she wasn't getting one. I don't know who she thought she was. She was actually confused by my laughter and said,
Why are you laughing, Lexi?
Did you really expect my dad to invite you, Daisy?
Why not, Lexi? He's invited everyone in my family.
That's true. He had indeed invited everyone. But you are not getting an invite.
Why won't I get an invite?
Have you really forgotten how you insulted my father at his house? In fact, you continued to make fun of him until last week.
Oh, that. Well, that was just a long time ago, Lexi. It was just a joke. I'm sorry if I hurt his feelings.
Now, Daisy was willing to say sorry. It took us a whole year to realize her mistake. Well, there was the trip as an incentive, but she had miscalculated the power of her apology. It was 1 year too late. An apology wasn't going to cut it now, so I smirked at her and said, "There's no use apologizing now, Daisy. You have already lost your chance. You are not getting an invite."
Let me talk to your father, Lexi. I'm sure he will understand that I am very sorry.
Nope, he doesn't want to talk to you, Daisy.
Oh, come on, Lexi. Don't be so difficult. You can't leave me here while everyone else is going.
You don't have the right to accompany us on all our trips, Daisy. You can arrange your own if you want a trip so badly.
Zach, why don't you talk to Sean?
Daisy was hoping that her son would help her out. Boy, she was really desperate for a vacation. She thought that her own son would at least advocate for her. What she hadn't realized or remembered was that Zach was also pretty embarrassed by her behavior. So instead of agreeing to speak to my father on behalf of her, he said, "No can do, Mom. As Lexi said, you have lost your chance already. You should have apologized to him when I asked you to. But no, you had to ignore me and continue to make fun of Sean."
I already said I'm sorry, Zach. Why don't you guys give me some grace?
Because you don't deserve it, Daisy. You made your bed and now you can lie in it. You won't get invited to the trip. That's final.
This is really unfair, guys.
Well, you just have to deal with it, I guess. Daisy was desperate for an invite and harassed us to convince my dad to invite her too. She said a lot of emotional things, like how visiting the Caribbean was her dream and this was her only chance. She even cried a little when we kept denying her request. She said that we were being selfish and evil. That got Zach really angry, and he told his mom to leave. She immediately regretted her words and tried to backtrack again. Unfortunately for her, the damage was done. We kicked her out and told her that she would never get an invite to this or any trip that my father would plan in the future.
The trip happened and we had a lot of fun. Daisy wasn't invited like we said, and she threw a big tantrum. But nothing worked because we were not going to listen to her. When we got back from the trip, Daisy refused to speak to us. She said that we would beg her to talk to us, but when we didn't even bother contacting her, she came home and cried about how we didn't care about her. Daisy and her drama just never ends. Now we have fairly low contact with her and don't speak to her as much. She has resigned herself to the fact that she would never get invited to the trip. We took 2 more trips after that and we stuck to our word. She is never getting invited again, and we actually prefer this way because the trip is way more fun without her annoying presence. Daisy doesn't talk about those trips. She met my father a few times and tried to cozy up to him, but he always maintained his distance and didn't talk to her much. She tried to get her family to ask Sean, but nobody was willing to do that for her. They didn't want to lose out on a free vacation by angering or offending my father, so they never spoke on his behalf. She knew talking to us would be of no use, so doesn't ask us anymore. We don't even invite her on our own trips because of her entitled and cheap behavior. It looks like we will be able to have Daisy-free trips from now on, and I couldn't be happier. Hello guys, I'm Ginny. I'll tell you about how I taught my mother-in-law a nice lesson while my husband Stephen supported me and cheered me on. As you can tell, I was never a good daughter-in-law to Sophia. She hated me and was mad that I was taking her son away from her. When I met her, she was a widow but was staying with my husband because my father-in-law had left them both in his house in his will. But Ginny moved out once her father passed away and left his house to her. Ginny had a lot of love for her dad's place since she grew up there. She happily left her marital home and moved back into her house because she loved that place so much. This meant that Stephen and I got to stay in his house alone after our wedding. Sophia came by whenever she wanted because it was her house too. But I wasn't allowed to set foot in her late father's house since she didn't want me to be there. I was a little hurt and found it to be disrespectful, but what can I do? It was her house and I couldn't force her to accept me. I was just glad she wasn't staying with us and creating trouble. My good days were over when Sophia suddenly moved back in with us. She was in a ton of debt due to various reasons and had to sell her house to get rid of them. Selling her portion in her husband's house wouldn't be enough for her, so she was forced to sell her childhood home. Yes, things were that bad. I guess some of you can guess that she had a gambling addiction that got out of control. Anyway, she moved in with us and I had to accept that because, well, she still owned the house I stayed in. I wasn't happy but was determined to make it work. And that was until Sophia came to stay with us and started to make some weird rules around the house. Sophia was acting absolutely entitled and kept saying that I should do her bidding since she was also part owner of my husband's house. She gave me a list of rules that said I would be the only one cooking, cleaning, and taking care of the house because I was a freeloader, in her words. I was also not allowed to have anyone over, and I was expected to leave when Sophia asked me to. At first, I thought that she was joking, but then Sophia started to create problems for me. Every time I wouldn't do her bidding, she would say, "You know what the rules are in my house, Ginny. Why is it so difficult for you to follow them?" "Your rules are wild, Sophia. They are extremely unreasonable. I'm trying to compromise with you, but you keep creating problems. Your rules are stupid and impossible to follow, Sophia." "Well, I don't care what you think. You have to do as I say. You can't stay in this house if you don't follow my rules. Nobody is going to stop you. Actually, I would even say that this is the best option." That was something I wasn't expected to be told.
Sophia was asking me to leave the house because I refused to follow her horrible rules. She was acting like a crazy and entitled woman. Just because she had a stake in the house, she was treating me like some maid who lives off her for free. I was extremely mad and in complete disbelief as I said, "What is this nonsense, Sophia? Do you really want to throw me out of the house?" "Yes, I expect you to leave and find your own place. You have no right to be in my house when you don't even want to show me some basic respect and follow my instructions." "I show you plenty of respect, Sophia. It's you who wants me to behave like a servant. That is totally unacceptable. It's my way or the highway, Ginny. If you don't like it, you can always leave. Or maybe I will help solve this matter by kicking you out myself." "This is my husband's house too, Sophia. You can't just expect me to leave my own husband's place." "Yes, I can expect that since I am also an owner. If you don't do as I say, I will make your life hell here. I can promise you that." I knew that arguing with Sophia wasn't going to do me any good, so I left without engaging with her anymore. However, she wasn't going to let this go any time soon. Once the words were out of Sophia's mouth, they got implanted into her brain permanently. Every time I did something she didn't like, she would threaten to throw me out of the house. She continued doing this, and we kept having fights. Sometimes I even gave in and did what she wanted, just to keep the peace. I thought I would first try and see if I could manage following some of the rules while she compromised for the rest. My husband was frequently away for his work, so he couldn't defend me as much. Whenever he was home, he would try and talk some sense into his stupid mother. He would say, "Mom, your expectations are truly unreasonable. You can't treat my wife like this." "I didn't do anything wrong. I won't be uncomfortable in my own home because of your stupid wife who doesn't even pay rent." "That does not excuse your behavior, Mom. You are asking way too much of her, and this is not okay. She's not your servant." "She should be doing all the work because she's just a housewife. She doesn't contribute a cent to this house. So she should make up for it in some other way." Her logic was simply bizarre, because that's not how things work. Yes, I'm a housewife and I do my fair share of work and even more. But she too doesn't work anymore and stays with us for free. So I don't see how this logic should only apply to me. I decided to speak up and point out this problem in her logic and said, "You don't contribute a cent to this household too, Sophia. Your logic simply doesn't hold up here. You need to do your fair share of your chores as well. This is the way any household works." "Don't you dare try to lecture me, Ginny. I won't take lessons from you while you live rent-free in my own house. Always remember that I can throw you out and make you get your own place." "Mom, you are being extremely disrespectful to my wife. I also own this place, so you need to understand the fact that she has the right to be here." "And I too have the right to live in my house how I want. You may be fine with your wife being a lazy parasite, but I am not. I am not going to let her disrespect my rules in my own house." Stephen tried his best to make his mother understand that what she was asking of me was extremely unreasonable. However, my mother-in-law couldn't understand her mistake at all. She kept arguing with us until we were both forced to give up. At that point, I knew that I needed to have a backup plan in mind. It was getting increasingly difficult for me to stay with Sophia, and I didn't know what to do. She usually let a few things go when my husband was around, but that wasn't going to work in the long run. He absolutely needed to travel for work and couldn't just stay at home to support me. I was left alone with Sophia for extended periods of time, and it was just destroying my mental health in all ways possible. So, that night, I said to my husband, I don't think I can bear her much longer, Stephen. She is progressively getting worse every day. I'm so sorry, Ginny. What can I even do? I tried to make her understand her mistake, but she doesn't want to accept it. I can't kick her out because this is her house, too. I know, Stephen. You don't have to remind me. I'm tired of hearing this from Sophia every day. She leaves no chance to remind me that I don't own this place, but she does. I wish I could give you a house, Ginny. If my finances would allow me to take a mortgage, I would have. But I don't think I can qualify for it before I get rid of my student loans. It's okay, Stephen. I'm not blaming you in any way. I wish we had a solution, though. I don't think I can stay with your mother forever like this. Stephen and I talked the entire night about how we needed to find a good solution. We did think of getting a rented apartment somewhere for us to live, but I was mad at the fact that Stephen would have to give up living in his own house just because his mother insisted on being a complete witch. I was really mad at Sophia and the situation we had at hand. I thought about our problem for a long time until I finally found a nice solution. I had been thinking about it for a while and didn't know whether it would be a good idea to go through with it. After dealing with Sophia's horrible attitude and snarky comments, I was starting to think that it would be a good idea after all. So one night, I told my husband, I think I may have found a solution to our problem, Stephen, but I'm not sure how you'll feel about it. Oh, what is it, Jeannie? I promise to keep an open mind and hear you out before being harsh about my judgments. Well, what do you think about me buying your mom's house? Wait, what? You want to buy my mom's house? Yes, Stephen, I thought about it and I really like that place. I suppose you like it too, since it was your grandfather's house. I do like it, Ginny. I actually love that house. But are you sure it's a good idea? Will you be able to afford it? I still have the inheritance from my parents, so I can use that to get the place. Your mother would not be happy, though. Not that I care. I don't feel like showing her empathy when she has been so nasty to me. I think it will be difficult for her to digest the fact that I'm buying her house. If I do buy the house, I will move there and won't let your mother stay with us, though. I want to make that very clear. I made my stance very clear to Stephen because I didn't want us to have problems in the future. I laid my cards out on the table and made sure my husband knew what I was planning to do. There was no way I was letting Sophia live with us after I bought the house. I knew she would beg because she was really attached to that place since it was her childhood home, but I wouldn't be allowing her to live with us. I call this karma, but I wasn't sure my husband would find this plan appealing. However, he said, "You're right about that, Ginny. Mom is not going to like what you have in mind, but I think it would be a good idea. At least the house will stay in the family. Mom can just deal with it." Really? Are you sure about that? Well, she's been pretty unreasonable to you, Ginny. If she's hurt that you're taking her house, that's on her. She should be happy you helped to keep it in the family and not angry or jealous that you bought her house and moved into it. I was elated that my husband didn't find any problem with my plan. He was actually encouraging me to buy that house because he didn't want the house to go to some stranger who wasn't even related to the family. If I did buy the house, he would still have a chance to keep a part of his family history with him. So, Stephen told me to go ahead with the plan if I really wanted to. After getting the green signal from my husband, I started the process of acquiring Sophia's house. I called her agent and told him that I was interested in making the purchase as long as it could be settled fast. I was running out of patience in the house and dealing with Sophia when my husband was gone, and it was an absolute nightmare. So I wanted to close the deal as soon as possible. The agent promised to talk to his client and get back to me. I was near Sophia when her agent called her, and she started to cry when she heard that she had a potential buyer. I guess even though she needed the money, she had a hard time considering the fact that she was about to lose her childhood home because of her stupidity. I watched her cry and didn't bother to comfort her because I had stopped caring about her entirely. Days passed and we were able to finalize the sale of the house. I took extra care to hide my identity by making my lawyer a nominee for the sale. So Sophia never realized that I was the one buying the house. I had requested a private tour of the house without the owner for my privacy, so Sophia wasn't present when I went to look at her house. I wasn't allowed into the place after Sophia took over because she didn't want me to come to her house. Now, I was not only taking a tour of the place, but also buying it. When I was in the house, all those years of disrespect came rushing back to me. I was craving some revenge, and I really wanted to see Sophia's face when she found out who bought her house. I signed the papers within 10 days, and her house was successfully mine. She was able to pay off her debts, but she cried like a baby on the day that she got the last tour of her old home. Sophia came back to the house and actually amped up her horrible behavior. She got her stuff removed from her old house and started to put everything in our house. She even went to the extent of removing my stuff and throwing it out to accommodate her things. I was away for a family emergency when she had her stuff moved. I wasn't there to witness or stop it from happening. When I got back home, I was surprised to see that she had taken over my closet and removed all my items from it to put her own things inside it. I was super angry when I saw that. I called Sophia and said, "Where is all my stuff? Did you move them?" "Yeah, I moved them and put them in the attic." "Excuse me? Why did you touch my stuff without permission? Also, why do you think you have the right to move my things?" "I can do whatever I want, Ginny. This is my house, so my stuff needs to be in the main spaces. All your stuff can be in the attic, since you don't even have a lease in your name." "What is wrong with you, woman? You can't just expect all my stuff to be in the attic." "Oh yeah? That's exactly where it belongs. If I find anything of yours out of the attic, I will throw it out. Speaking of which, I threw out your plants because I don't want them inside my house. Remember that the next time you think of buying plants." That was the moment when I got even more angry. If you are a plant owner, you would know what I was feeling at that time. I had a decent collection of indoor plants that cost me a lot of money to buy. I also spent a lot of time taking care of them and making sure they were super healthy. But when I was gone for a family emergency, Sophia took it upon herself to throw them out. They were gone forever, since I didn't see them in the front yard or garden. I was mad with anger that she would go this far. I didn't forget about the fact that she had moved my stuff without my permission and had gotten rid of God knows what else. I said, "What is wrong with you, Sophia? They were just plants. You threw out years of my hard work." "Who cares? I said that I didn't want plants in my house. I wouldn't have allowed you to keep them anyway." "I don't care if you own the house, Sophia. You shouldn't have done this. You also shouldn't have put away all of my stuff in the attic without my permission." "I don't need your permission, Ginny. This is my house, not yours. And if you don't like my rules and boundaries, you can get your own place and move." My blood was boiling when she said that. She was acting entitled and cruel yet again. Also, she was still making noise about owning the house and telling me I have no rights here, even when my husband also happened to be a co-owner. Sophia didn't even look bad for being such a nasty witch. She was clearly enjoying taunting me and making me upset. But she had no idea that the tables would turn and she would be the one getting upset. I knew that it was time to show her that I wasn't afraid of her threats anymore. I simply shrugged at her and said, "Okay, I will leave then. I will just move into a new house." "Oh yeah, Ginny? And how do you plan to get a new house?" I don't need to plan anything, Sophia. I already have a house of my own. That's a funny joke, Ginny. Pray tell me how you were able to buy a house without money. You were just a housewife after all. Well, I have my inheritance from my parents. I didn't know what I wanted to do with the money, but when I saw that I needed a house, I went ahead and spent it. And what were you able to afford, Ginny? A trailer? A tent, maybe, since a trailer would be too much money for you. Actually, no, Sophia. I happen to have bought your house. You are being hilarious today, Ginny. Tell me, do you really expect me to believe that you bought my house? You don't have to believe me, Sophia. I can show you the proof. Here, take a look at this picture. I showed Sophia a picture of the house deed that I had on my phone. I had taken the picture because the papers were in the safe and I didn't want to take it out. I already had a picture taken for this very occasion, so I utilized it when the chance came for me. Sophia took one look at the picture and turned pale. Gone was her snarky attitude, and it was replaced with the look of shock. She started to get tears in her eyes and said, "What? This is impossible. How could you buy my house?" "Well, I already told you that I had money, Sophia." "No, this can't happen. You can't own my childhood home. A useless housewife like you can't buy my house." "It's strange, isn't it, Sophia? After your father died, you didn't let me set foot into your house. Now I've become the owner of the very place." No, this can't happen. You can't live in my house." "Now it's time for me to correct you, Sophia. That is not what your house is anymore. It is mine. And I have the right to make my own rules when in my house. You know what that means, Sophia?" "What? What does it mean?" "It means that you won't be able to set foot in my house. So you will never see or live in your childhood home again. It will still be in your family, but you will have no access to it." Sophia absolutely burst into tears when I said that. She started to hurl abuses at me and told me that I would die in hell for doing this to her. I happily saw her throw a tantrum and cry her eyes out because her daughter-in-law was now the owner of her childhood home. I guess it stung her just as much as I thought it would. I left Sophia crying and started to pack my stuff because they wouldn't be staying in the attic anymore. They would be in my new house. Stephen and I moved out of our old house and into my new house within a week. That night, Stephen came back from work and Sophia tried to complain to him that I was being unfair and that I shouldn't live in her childhood home. She tried to tell him that she would go back to my house and stay there rent-free. Stephen flat out told his mother that it wouldn't be happening. She didn't take that well and said a lot of nasty stuff about me. After that, Stephen made the decision to cut off contact with her for good. He was willing to pay for her groceries and all utilities even after moving out, but the last big fight made him realize that he shouldn't be helping out someone who was so nasty to his wife. We moved into our new home and started to decorate it as we wanted. There was also some painting and mild renovation we did, which drove Sophia crazy. She called me and cried to me that I shouldn't do this to her house, and that's when I reminded her again that it was my house and I could do whatever I wanted. She didn't like that, and she said that I was disrespecting her. I just said, "My house, my rules," and laughed. Sophia wasn't happy to find her own logic thrown back in her face. After we left, she struggled to stay afloat with her debts and grocery bills. She wasn't having a great time, and she begged me and her son to help her again. She even showed up at my new house and had expected to be welcomed inside. I simply left her standing on the front porch until she cried and left after realizing that she had lost all rights. to her childhood home because of her own actions.